you get a draft in 2000, let's say 2014. You get a draft in 2014, and and this is revisionist history too. You got a rookie Kevin Durant, and you got a rookie Steph Curry.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you taking?
Okay,
knowing what we know. Wait, knowing what we know, or
knowing what you know.
Oh,
yeah.
Wait. What year?
2014. Knowing what I know, I'm taking Curry.
I still think KD's a better basketball player than Steph Curry.
KD.
Well, hold on, Mars. Are you taking KD because he's better?
No, I'm taking KD because it's easier to build around.
Considering
what's the chances I get the best defender of the era and the only other guy who's comparable to him as a shooter on the same team? What's the chance? What's the chance I'm able to get that? Whereas with KD, I've got a 7-foot demigod scorer who was also better for longer because KD was that guy by year 3 or 4. Steph was about year 6. So I'm getting a head start on years. Mm-hmm. It's easier to build with him. Now, do I think the ceiling is as high with KD as it is with Steph? No. Do I think KD is better than Steph? No. But you give me a 3-year head start, someone who's easier to build with, I like my chances. I trust myself to be able to build the right team. Whereas with Steph, I think you get everything right. The ceiling is higher, but so much has to go right for it to work. Also, knowing what I know, we're not paying Steph $44 million off his rookie contract. So unfortunately, he's going to be getting a max. So already, I can't afford to go get KD in free agency. So there goes 2 of my rings. So I'm just... So yeah, I think it's easier to build. With. If I was drafting, I would take KD because I think it's easier. But I think if you could guarantee me the best case scenario with both, I would take Steph. But the best case scenario is very rare.
To Ron's point, like knowing what we know, that's the way the game was going during that time, and because that's the way the game was going during that time, I felt like it was a lot easier. It was less difficult to build around Steph Curry than it was because that's the way the game was going. Specifically, it's not because KD isn't a great one-on-one player or because he can't shoot the long ball, but because a guy like Steph Curry, if I get him and I get another knockdown shooter, all right, this is the way the game is going, and all I got to do is put the right pieces around that. KD is more of a plug-in guy. Those guys have to already be there in order for you, kind of like with Kawhi Leonard. Those guys have to already be there in order for you to move forward with him. He proved that. I mean, it could have possibly been that in Oklahoma City, but he left too early. So now he gets on a crew where he's the plug-in guy. He does the same thing in Brooklyn, where he's the plug-in guy. He does the same thing in Phoenix. So with Curry, that unit was essentially built around his skill set, which is the way the game was going anyway. And the fact that we get guys who are conducive to his style of play and his game, that makes our lives even better. So now all we got to do is get a great defender. Now all we got to do is get great role plays. Now all we got to do, we don't need another lead guard because our offense isn't like that. It's not predicated on one guy dominating the ball. It's just the ball moving. So that enhances Curry's game. KD, on the other hand, when he gets on that Warriors team, like a lot of people don't want to discuss that, but he struggled. As good as he was, he did struggle because he's more of a one-on-one player. Him being more of a one-on-one player, that's not conducive to the Golden State Warriors offense. It's more of a ball movement, people movement kind of offense. So if I had to build around the two of them, it would probably have been Steph Curry, knowing what I know today. Bless you.
Yeah, Mars. I hear what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, let's not act like KD wasn't favorable from day 1 too. Well, day 3.
What do you mean favorable?
I mean, by his 3rd year in the season, or third season in the NBA, you had Russell Westbrook.
Wasn't he leading the league in scoring in year 3, something like that?
He was.
Yeah. He had talent, but there's a difference between talent and then fit. Yeah, the talent around, like, you could argue, not argue, I think it's logical. KD has played with better players than Steph has played with in terms of Russ, Harden, Kyrie, Steph.
I think without a question.
Yeah, but the fit is undoubtedly Steph. Like, Clay fits seamlessly with damn near anyone. Then you get, obviously, the Steve Kerr system. Draymond Green being that good defensively being that good of a passer, allowing Steph to play off the ball and thrive, you probably don't find out about Steph's off-ball ability with any other forward in the NBA other than Draymond Green. Like, because even if you think there's better passers than Draymond, they're also so much more score heavy that you're not going to maximize Steph's off-ball play because they're going to be looking to still score, drive and kick, all of those things. So Draymond just fits so seamlessly because he's fine taking 6 shots and he's going to go play. He's going to go play with Steph, and everything's going to be about getting the ball to Steph and getting the ball to Clay. You don't just find that anyway. You don't find that anywhere. And none of this is, I want to clarify, none of this is me knocking Steph, but everything went so perfectly. You had Steve Kerr, who was the GM of the Suns, the 7 seconds or less Suns, revolutionary offense. Played under Greg Popovich and his revolutionary defense at the time. Played under Phil Jackson and the revolutionary triangle at the time.
Put all of that stuff together.
Implemented all of that into a cauldron and whipped up this offensive scheme with Draymond Green being the only player who could play the way he needed him to play in the NBA at that time. Being maybe the best defender, especially in the postseason, in the league at that time.
Right.
Klay Thompson being the second best shooter in the league at that time. Maybe the best like catch and shoot shooter in the league at that time. Around Steph Curry, and then you get Andre Iguodala, one of the best wing defenders in the league at that time. Klay Thompson, one of the best on-ball defenders in the league at that time. Everything just culminated seamlessly to make maybe the best team, regular season team you've ever seen. And then obviously you add KD and it just becomes ridiculous. But Steph's off-ball game doesn't get unlocked without Draymond Green. So if you draft Steph Curry in 2014, who's the Draymond Green you're going to go get? And I'm not saying Steph needs Draymond Green to be good, but you don't maximize Steph's off-ball game without Draymond Green.
He enhances his game 100%.
That's clear to see. Steph is maybe the best off-ball player ever. You don't maximize that without Draymond Green. You just don't, because no one else.
The way Steph moves without the ball, I disagree right there, Mars. You have to have a willing passer. It doesn't. So I don't know if that's exactly what you mean. Like, it doesn't have to be Draymond. I think any willing passer that's power forward would maximize Steph Curry because the way he moves without the ball. He's
like Paul Millsap, Ox.
It doesn't have to be a power forward either, though. Like, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't. Yeah, but
it can't be a small because you're not having a 6'2" and a 6'2" in the backcourt. So it's not going to be a small. It would have to be a bigger player. So a point forward type. Combo guard, I don't know, some 6'2" guard. Who would it be?
Who would it be? Like name
from 2014 onwards. Yeah, because as far as I've got Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons. Who else is there?
Ben Simmons doesn't work, and the reason why Ben Simmons doesn't work is he's a liability offensively. Draymond could actually shoot the ball. Draymond would shoot the ball.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think Ben Simmons was what you say, a liability. I don't think he was a liability on offense at all. I don't think not being able to shoot makes you a liability. I think
James was in the paint.
Ben Simmons was a demon going downhill.
Right.
He had that good little runner. He was nice in the paint.
Yeah.
I don't want to call him a liability on offense. I can't say that about Ben Simmons. I've seen him do too much on the offense.
He 100% is a liability. Ox one
just because he wouldn't shoot that.
I think he becomes a liability in the wrong situation. But I think Draymond would be a liability in the wrong situation.
I do want to answer that. I do want to answer that question though, Ron, the original question, and I undoubtedly take Kevin Durant. Although I do think Steph and KD are two of the easiest players of this generation to build around. As far as superstars go, I don't think you have an easier job than Kevin Durant and Steph Curry to build around. You know what I mean? Like all the other first of all, their willingness to come off the ball, but their shooting ability for both of them. Both of them can shoot the ball. KD's ability to get to his spots. The Steph Curry's ability to play off the ball in his off-ball movement, which we were just talking about. His off-ball movement. It's just they're like unselfish superstars to me. I could say both of them are unselfish superstars. More so Steph than KD. But I think as far as superstars go in this era, I don't think you find two that's easier to build around than these two guys. So like to go back and forth on who's easier to build put a team around. I think that argument can go on all day just because both of them can do that. But also, I'm choosing KD. I think I gotta go with KD.
But you think KD's better than Steph too, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. And also KD, defensively, even if you don't think KD's that good, you had to protect Steph defensively. You had to. That part of the Warriors' identity defensively was we have 4 strong defenders and Steph. That was what made them so potent. And then Steph was able to execute his role within the scheme, which was basically try not to get switched onto the elite players. But he executed it. KD, you don't have to protect KD defensively. Now, early on, was he great? No, but you didn't have to protect him. And then as he actually became a very good defender, a strong positive, that also just gives you a higher ceiling. So I think there's things you have to do. There's allowances you have to make for Steph. And there's certain players who are more situational. Steph can make unplayable players in other situations playable. I think Steph's one of the only people who can do that. The Warriors have been getting away with having 2 non-shooters on the floor in 2024, pretty much because of Steph and Clay. Right. That's the only reason you can even play Looney and Draymond, and they've been found out for that. But KD, he moves off the ball seamlessly, especially like young KD, moves off the ball seamlessly, 8 inches taller, shoots the ball not as well as Steph, but maybe the best mid-range shooter of all time, elite from 3, great without the basketball himself, better in transition, much better defensively, can rim protect, can rebound. Like with KD, I think the baseline of what you need to build around him would just be easier than Steph. Like that's what it's going to keep coming back to. I think you can find the players that fit with KD to a high level easier than you can with Steph.
Mars, I do get what you guys are saying. My only thing is, in every team that KD's been on for the most, I don't think KD's ever been on just a whack team. I think every team KD's been on has been good.
He was when he got to Seattle, they were gone.
Oh, well, those early teams, but that was that was
20 like 10 onwards, 2011 onwards.
That was by his 3rd year, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time Russ and James Harden had got there, they were legit. And I know James was just a rookie, even though he was a good rookie.
They won 50
Russ
games in
was a sophomore.
Yeah.
Here's my only thing with KD is, yes, it's easy to build around you, but you've always, since 2010, you've always had the pieces that were there. And it never really amounted to as much.
Russ was a hindrance, Ron.
They were always
a hindrance.
But they were always a
good team.
They were always a good team, but they were never the best team in the league. They were always a good team. 2010, they were a good team. They weren't as good as the Lakers, who they got destroyed by.
2012?
2011, they were a good team. They lost to Dallas. 2012, they were a good team. They lost to Miami. These teams are better than the Thunder. 2013, they were a good team. They lost to Memphis, I believe, but someone was hurt. I can't remember who was hurt. Someone can remind me. They lost to Memphis. But they also weren't the best team in the league anyway. Miami was a better team than them. 2014, they were a good team. They weren't better than the Spurs. They probably weren't better than Miami. 2015, KD was hurt. So say what you want. 2016, they were a good team.
Mars.
2016 is the, I'm getting to it. 2016 is the year you can say maybe they were the best team in the league. And they lost in game 7. So 2016, you can, so one time maybe they were the best team in the league. And then obviously they go to the Warriors.
In 2015, they had action too, but he just happened to be hurt.
Yeah,
in 2014, Russ was hurt, right?
I believe
2014, yeah. That was
so 2014 and 15 are 2 years where
2014 to 16 was OKC's window.
Yeah, I'm actually like, this is one of the things I'm most disappointed about just in basketball history in general is these 2 injuries. Russ getting hurt. Remember, that's the year I think Pat Bev.
Yeah, that was KD MVP year.
In 2014, and then the next year KD gets hurt. OKC got basically wiped out of 2 years where they would have legitimately been in championship contention. A lot of people forget that, and that I think a lot of that leads up to Kevin Durant's decision. But he had 2 years where they didn't even have a shot at even reaching their potential.
They had a shot the year Russ got hurt.
In 14?
I can't remember.
Chill,
do not entertain. Russ was hurt in 13 or 14. I can't remember which one.
It was 14.
Back-to-back years.
Yeah, it was 14. Because that was the year KD won. That was the year KD that had won the league MVP.
Or am I misremembering?
No, he
got hurt. They played against Houston, and he ended up getting hurt.
So why do I remember him playing the Spurs? Well, okay. But yeah, 14 to 16 was their window. Things just went wrong. But even then, like, even if they were the best team in the league, it wasn't by a margin wide enough to where you think they should have won the chip. It was like they could have. They were in that upper tier. It was them, the Cavs, and the Warriors. But was it they should have won, or
They had a
Like
chance.
them
There's a difference
being
between they
up
had a
3-1
chance.
and then blowing the leads. Yeah, everyone's like, oh, they should have won that series.
Right.
But people didn't have them going up 3-1 in the first place. It was a shock that they were up 3-1 in the first place.
Ron, you did not have them going up 3-1 against the
Okay,
Thunder.
when I say people, I mean the majority. The consensus was the Warriors were the best.
Even if that's true, Moss, Ron, knock it off. You had a 73-win team that was rolling. You had them Oklahoma City Thunder mopping them dudes.
He knew me at that moment in time. He knew. Hey,
Yeah,
it's the
he's a
reason
Russ
why.
guy.
It's
Yeah,
the reason
he's a
why
Russ.
I'm such a big Russ fan. And at that moment in time, I did happen to be a KD fan, which.
So you had them
Goals.
serving. You had them serving Oklahoma City. You had Oklahoma City serving these dudes in like 5 games.
I had Oklahoma City from 2012 up until KD left.
2016. I'm just saying
up from 2012 to,
Okay.
Kind of
to
like what
the
you
day
did for
he
the
left
Bucks.
to July 4th, 2017 or 16 or whatever July 4th that was.
Right.
I had
16, yeah.
OKC. They were that good, chill. But that's why I say those 2 years really hurt, because I do believe over that 3-year span, OKC wins a championship over that 3 years.
Ron, you act like 16 that Tony Parker didn't throw that series. The Spurs was beating their ass. Tony Parker started looking off Kawhi, and they got lucky and came back. Bro, they were not who you think they were, bro.
Yeah, even when they were arguably the best team in the league or they were championship contender, the team still wasn't built correctly. Like KD spoke about it. Like the game was changing, and they were still putting Andre Roberson out there on. Like Andre Roberson was playing 30 minutes a game, and he was a 2 guard who no one guarded.
He was a
They had
complete
Serge
liability.
Ibaka taking corner threes, hoping for spacing.
Terrible.
They were playing 3 non-shooters. The only shooters on the team were KD and Serge. Serge was being considered a shooter on that
Serge
team.
was chucking that corner.
That team was not built correctly. The fact that they were held in such high regard is a testament to how good Russell Westbrook was and how good KD was, and the fact that their defense was still very good. They built a very good defense. But offensively, that team was not built to the level of the other teams around the NBA.
What year
Ron, you was basing that solely. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Alex.
I just want to know, what year was it that Tabo got his leg broke by the police?
That was in 15, I think.
That was in 15.
Was it that late? I thought that was early in the 2010s.
I think. It was.
Because I will say that the loss of Tabo Sepulosha, that was felt.
Ron, there's no way you as a basketball guy can believe that a team that has a guy who's completely and utterly on the wing, ineffective, where we can't go to him offensively, which was Andre Roberson. We can't do anything with him offensively, that they could beat this Golden State team. You're basing that solely on the fact that you just think KD better than everybody. That's all
KD?
that you're thinking this is. Because
KD?
Russ.
Hey, I mean, at that moment in time, they happen to have the best.
They had 2 of the top 5 players in the world. You can say
100%.
Thank you, Mark.
100%. They were 2 top 5 players. I'll argue that.
Crazy.
But if you got it, but when you have a team where you have a guy on the wing, not as a rotation guy, who prime example would be Josh Giddey, where he becomes unplayable, which would be today. When you got a guy who's that integral on your crew, who we can't do anything with him offensively, there's no way that you honestly believe that they could be the 73-win team that played as fast as they played, that shot the ball at the way that they shot it, and offensively at that time was the best offense that the league had ever seen, Ron.
Well, chill. At that moment in time, and even still to this day, I still have a little bit of this in me. You guys know how I feel about spacing. I don't think spacing has to be completely like. I don't believe you got to have 5 just knockdown shooters. I think
You don't. I'm not arguing that, Ron.
If coach is coaching right, you can win with the offensive liability as well. So I wasn't too much concerned about Andre Roberson.
Even if that's keep going.
I'm like with the likes of with how dynamic and the firepower that Russ and KD brought. Also, keep in mind too, Andre Roberson made them a hell of a defensive team.
Sure, he did.
Andre Roberson, you got Serge Ibaka, you got Kendrick Perk, and then on top of that, KD was, he still brings on defense, and Russ was a firecracker on defense too in the passing lanes and stuff like that.
Roberson was nice in transition too, Ron.
Yeah, I like they a hell of a team.
But the difference is in the playoffs, you guys know this, when the game slows down, whatever you don't know how to do, it's going to get exposed. And to your point, Ron, when you talk about a guy like Andre Roberson, we have to have somebody, especially during that time when the offense was as high-powered as it was. We're not going to be able to completely shut the door on these dudes. We're not shutting the door on Golden State. So on some level, we have to match what they do. Okay, we're not going to be able to match them being able to shoot the long ball, but we have to at least be able to compete in some areas. When I got a guy on the wing who, like you just said, he's good in transition. Well, the game's slowing down. So now we got to play in the half court. We ain't running nothing for Andre Roberson. Even though he's one of my better defenders, I can't get anything from him offensively. And because I can't get anything from him offensively, now he's a liability.
Chill. They didn't need anything from Andre Roberson offensively.
That's why they lost,
that's
Ron.
right. No, because I've watched that series too many times to count. The way, because everyone's like, oh, Russ and KD folded 12 or 31, 10 or 30. The way they shrunk the floor when KD or Russ had the ball, mainly off of Roberson, but Steven Adams was being left, Serge was being left, everyone was being left. And not only could they not shoot, they didn't want to shoot. Russ and KD were having to take some of the worst shots I've ever seen because all the offense could generate was wide open looks for guys the Warriors wanted to shoot, and wide open looks the guys on OKC didn't want to shoot. So yet they shot poorly. I think Russell and KD were combining for like 60 shots a game. It's because Golden State were actively they were playing basically 2-on-5. And I talk about team sport all the time. Golden State, after going down 3-1, just basically their whole game plan was basically someone else has to take shots. And they weren't shooting the ball. Not only were they not making shots, they weren't taking any. They just wouldn't shoot.
But Mars, can we talk about, because that was Billy Donovan, right? That had that team. Can we talk?
Yeah.
Can we talk
no, that
about
was Scott Brooks.
it
wasn't Billy Donovan in 16.
Yeah, that was Billy. That was Billy.
That was Billy Donovan.
We gotta talk about how terrible of a coaching job the offense, Billy Donovan. You can't spam high pick and rolls with Russ and KD going and then going straight ISO from there and having a non-shooter in the corner. That's the offenses that Billy Donovan was running, which is terrible.
I can agree with that. Sorry.
Well, let me ask you this question.
And that's no good for Russ. I feel like I'm putting a lot on Russ, and a lot of it is Billy Donovan's fault because coach got to coach in situations like that, and Russ just didn't have the skill set to play like that. You know what I'm saying? Russ is a park hooper. Russ is an outdoor Venice Beach basketball player. You know what I'm saying? And that just wasn't going to work for us.
So
Billy Donovan was not,
because the NBA was what it was at that time. So now you got a team in Golden State who now basically playing the 7 seconds or less offense, which just got enhanced. So now you got the personnel that you have. You're talking about coaching. What could we have done differently? And what I'm asking you, what could we have done differently with the limited amount of offensive players? Because it was an offensive surge during this time. What could we have done differently? What positions are we going to put Roberson in? Am I going to put Roberson in the dunker spot? Am I going to put Roberson in the corner? Am I going to have him running the baseline? Even if he is running the baseline, I'm still going to leave him open on the baseline. And he's going to have to make shots. Serge Ibaka, he's not getting work down on the block. That's not going to happen. And if he is on the block, what's going to happen is we're just going to collapse on him. Right? We're going to collapse on him and we're going to shrink the floor. Whenever Russ gets the ball, Russ is going to have to do all the work. And I'm banking on Russ, one, making a bad turnover or taking a bad shot. I'm banking on that. So I basically want, especially at that time, I want the ball in Russ' hands. So that leaves us with KD, who is your only offensive machine. Meanwhile, with us, we're going to tire you out on defense because we run a lot of action because the game's gotten slowed down. We're going to run a lot of action. We're going to put you guys on the defense and keep you on the defense. So now when we come back on offense, there's really nothing else that you're doing. So I'm asking you, Ox, what could Billy Donovan have done with the limited amount of offensive players that he had, plus simple defense?
Simple. Stop
and
having
right quick, Ox, but before you get into this, I do want to mention that guys like Deion Waiters was on the bench.
Right.
Guys like Anthony Morrow was on the bench. Randy Foy, Steve Novak, Cameron Payne. Now, I'm not saying these guys are generational scorers.
He ended up taking. I remember because I watched Game 7 maybe like 3 weeks ago. He ended up playing Steven Adams like barely any minutes in Game 7. He put Dion Waiters on the floor and he was a criminal. Like because he ended up putting Serge at the 5. It was like Serge, KD, Russ, Roberson, and Dion Waiters. And Dion Waiters, A, they still didn't respect him. And B, he didn't make any shots. Now he wasn't reluctant. I'll say that he wasn't reluctant.
Oh, he's going to shoot.
He was terrible too. Like these guys, like Dion Waiters is he's a microwave type scorer. He needs a rhythm. Like, if you want to say he should have got got him in the series earlier so we could get into a rhythm like a Tim Hardaway type. Sure, but like he's not a floor spacer like a Luke Kennard where you could just throw him in, he's gonna start making threes.
Right.
He needs a rhythm, and he's a scorer, not a shooter. They needed shooting. The team didn't have shooting. They had Dion Waiters, they had a scorer. Randy Foye was more like an initiator who can make some pull-up threes. Saying Anthony Morrow's name is just interesting to say the least. And like everyone else,
he played though.
Yeah, but that says a lot about the team.
But that's
like,
why
the team wasn't built well.
That's why I'm just saying, like, Billy Donovan, I think he could have tried something different, maybe put guys in different positions, different looks. I don't like having KD and Russ in the pick and roll together. Like I don't like that, especially within this situation. I might take KD out of that pick and roll and put him in the strong corner.
Why you don't like KD and Russ in the pick and roll, Ox? What's the problem?
Because then we don't have any options out of the pick and roll besides unless we're picking and popping with KD, giving it to him, or Russ just getting straight downhill, which I like Russ coming downhill, especially if I don't take Steven Adams out the game, right, Mars? If I got Steven Adams in the dunker spot and I got Russ coming downhill, attacking the rim, or that little jump off that we know Russ loves. We know Russ loves that little dump off pass to the big man. I might put Andre Roberson actually at that high pick and roll with
I'm not mad at that.
You know, I might put Andre Roberson at that high pick with Russ and put KD in the strong corner. Russ coming downhill, Steven Adams here, Serge Ibaka on the weak side corner. You know, Serge was loving that three ball at that time. Sure, I mean, Serge was chucking that corner three. You know what I mean? So that's, you know, I'm not sure if that works either. Chill, that's just something I could think of real quick. I would try that. I would try something else, you know what I mean? Maybe in this case, like Mars, you said that he wasn't playing that great, but maybe we do just take Andre Roberson off the court too. We just run with Dion and Anthony Morrow. I don't know, but whatever Billy Donovan was doing, I just didn't like it. I just didn't like it because you're not really helping. I feel like a coach's main job is, and this is Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin, he was the one who said coaches don't want to coach no more. Coaches really not coaching at all. It's like my job as a coach is not necessarily, yeah, obviously I want to work with your strengths, but my job as a coach is to work with what you're not good at, your faults, and figure out how to build on that. How do I make you still a intricate part of this team, even though I know you can't shoot for shit? You're mediocre on defense. You know what I'm saying? These type of things. I still got to figure out a way to make this player.
So what was Andre Roberson's highlight? Like what could we highlight from him? Like you just said,
I think it's defense. I wasn't necessarily talking about Andre Roberson. I think Andre Roberson was a hell of a defender.
Right.
I
think he was an all-elite defender. He's definitely elite on that. He was definitely elite. Now I think Mars, you brought up him being one of the better transition players in the game. Well, we don't want to play fast against Golden State with the personnel that we have. As good as KD is, as good as Russ is, we don't want to continue to play fast against these dudes because they're going to run us out of here. Because we don't have the crew to compete with these dudes because eventually they're going to start cracking the long ball and we're going to get lulled into that. And because we get lulled into that, we're going to start taking a lot of bad shots, which is what Russ did, right? Andre Roberson wouldn't even look at the basket. Now, even though in transition he could score, but he wouldn't even look at the basket. Ibaka is stop and pop, shooting threes in transition. I'm thinking to myself, well, wait a minute. This is not our game. This is not who we are. So when you have a team like that, it's almost impossible with what Golden State was doing, especially at that time, and how conducive their game was to that era. It's almost impossible. It was almost impossible to slow them down. Except the fact that James showed up. Sorry.
I do want to say, like, so we went down that whole rabbit hole, which that was a good conversation. The main reason I brought this up, and Morris, you actually kind of answered the question with what you were saying. I was gonna say because remember initially we were talking about who's easier to build around, and you guys said KD. My thing was going.
I said Steph. I said Curry.
If it's so much easier to build around KD, why weren't they able to build around KD? And I'm not just talking about for the Thunder. I'm talking about throughout, still to this day. Why?
I don't think that.
Brooklyn did it. They just got hurt. And
because it's the system, bro.
I think Oklahoma City did it too. I just think that they needed to.
It's the system, bro. It's not like Mark said earlier. It's not about all the talent. It's about the fit. Like that, I think these teams did build around KD. It's just the. But hold on, bro, because like I'm saying, that's why I said you can put any willing passer to play Draymond's role. Now the defensive end, and being a floor general on defense and orchestrating and talking and all that, you can't just replace that. You know what I'm saying? You got to be that guy to be able to do that. But as far as that their system goes over there, bro, anybody that's willing to buy into something, I think that's what puts Golden State over the edge. Like these guys are bought into something that really work. You know what I mean? Like the sets they run with the back doors, when you can't guard that, bro. It's not possible for me to guard somebody athletic wing setting a down pick for Steph coming off this way. When Steph just ran from this wing, cut all the way through the baseline, now I got a athletic wing that's setting a back pick for him about 15 feet from the basket. Now he's cutting to the rim, and I got Klay Thompson over here in the corner. Like, bro, you cannot guard that. Steph Curry's coming off this side. Clay's coming there. I got a wing diving. Then on top of that, I got a big man in the dunker spot who at the very least, that's when Draymond throws that little lob to him. It's a dunk. Bro, you cannot guard that. And that's the main reason I said it's not so much that KD has been built around. It's just that the Warriors, they got everything, bro. They got everything.
Draymond was top 10 in the league in assists that year. I mean, he was the only big in the league that was in the top 10 in assists. In fact, him and no, it was just him. He was the only big in the league that was in the top 20 that was in the league in assists. He was the only big. And he ain't even a big. He's 6'6". But he was the only one. There are no other bigs in the game that were passing like that. And now, don't get me wrong, I do know that offense that they played in, that's a different offense. Not everybody was playing in that kind of offense that the Golden State Warriors were playing in. So that offense was conducive to his game. But I'm not really sure if there's any other guy that's playing on the front line that was able at that time. I mean, Giannis was a pup at that point. No. Carmelo, no. He ain't doing that. I mean, what other guy do you put in? Pau Gasol? Pau was over in 16. Pau was finished at that point. So the guys that I'm thinking about, it was, to Mars's point, it was the perfect situation for him, and it was the perfect offense.
So what you guys are trying to tell me is
and the
easiest guy to build around, Kevin Durant, got beat by a guy that was harder to build around, but they happened to build around him. And no, this is why I'm saying that. This is why I'm saying that.
They're both easy to build around. One is, I think, easier, but I think the Warriors built around Steph better than the OKC built around KD. They just did a better job, in my opinion. Like, I don't think that's a hot take. They did a better job building around Steph than OKC did with KD.
But going back though, so obviously, like I said, if you could draft either or, you just believe you could build with KD.
Yes, I believe I think Russ is fine. But I just think you need more. I just think the way the NBA is, you need guys who aren't not only bad offensive players, but guys who can just do things on offense. KD has flaws. KD has flaws. He's not the best playmaker. He can get bumped off his spots. His handle is not always the greatest because he's 7 foot trying to dribble. He has flaws. Sometimes his 3-point shot just disappears for games at a time.
Right.
But I still think you got a 7 foot guy who, if you can get him to his spots on the floor easily, you've got the recipe for success. You get like 2014. So what time? What's around 2014? Because I can't just be like, oh, give him prime Chris Paul and then give him Klay Thompson. Like, obviously not. But like 2014,
are
you
look talking about distributors? Are you talking about distributors, Mars?
Yeah, but I was trying to think more so the draft than
the
already ready-made players. But like you go, like if you get, I would say Lonzo, but what Lonzo became and what he came in as are two different things. So like, but if you get KD a playmaking point guard who can shoot the ball, or you can keep him with Russ, I don't mind. You get him a 2 guard who can shoot and play defense. He's at the 3. At the 4, you have a defender, you have a defender, athlete, whatever, and then you have like a stretch 5, and then you have an adequate offensive scheme, not what Billy Donovan implements. I think you have the recipe for success. Does that guarantee 6 championships? No, but I think it's better than what they built around KD and OKC. That's what I'm saying. Doesn't mean it guarantees you 17 rings or whatever. I'm just saying I think they didn't do the best job they could have. And I don't think most teams do the best job they could have. I don't think Denver did a good job around Melo until 2009. Like, I just think teams don't always do the best job of building around people. I don't think that's
I don't think that. I just don't think KD and Russ were as good as a fit as people make it out to be.
I think that's all.
They were both really good basketball players, great basketball players, but together it's just not. They just didn't go together.
And why do you think that was the case, Ox? Well, because from a skill standpoint, it could have very well worked perfectly, but it doesn't help that one of the dudes is looking at the other dude like, I'm nicer than him.
Yeah, and with that being said, I don't even know if that's necessarily it with Russ, or if that's just the way he plays ball. You know, like he got that type of mentality, and you know, I don't know if that was necessarily the issue. I don't want to say that Russ was looking KD off ever. I don't think Russ is selfish. I just think he's just that style of player. You know.
Yes, that's what it is.
I don't think he had any cruel intentions or wanted to harm the team. I think he wanted to win. You know what I mean, but with that being said, I don't know if he understood that the way to win is to give him the ball.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to hit that. I think we can win another way.
I think y'all over exaggerate that so much. Russ was giving KD the ball.
Yeah, I think they fit fine. I think
Russ was giving. He legitimately. He was giving KD the ball.
I'm not calling Russ. I've never called Russ a ball hog or nothing like that. I just think I think Russ is very reactionary. It's like I said.
You're a hater, man. You're a hater.
It's like to me, it's like I don't think Russ was like Russ was not a Ray Jean type thinker. Like I know in the third quarter, I'm going to be feeding KD here. He's not. I don't know, but I don't think Russ was talking to KD in the huddle like, yo, Kev, you know what I'm saying? Come off here. I'm gonna get you right there. I'm gonna go set this back screen or away the ball screen. You just cook, just eat. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if Russ is setting these type of things up in advance. You know what I mean? You know how that go. Y'all know how that go. Like we got to talk to each other about what we see. Do this, do that, do that. I think Russ is just kind of just balling. Like I found you now. You know what I'm saying? Like. Yeah, like we could have worked on this. You know what I'm saying? Instead of you just well, that worked. You know, like it worked. But
I'm pretty sure that they did that though. They was together 8 years.
I would hope so.
I vividly remember Russ passing the ball to KD on sets, down screens, things of that nature. I remember the exact play. This is what I'm saying. You guys overreact. Matter of fact, you guys are reactionary when it comes to Russell Westbrook. Because anytime he shoots a mid-range shot, which he's supposed to be shooting because he's a superstar in the NBA at this moment in time, you guys lost it. But if KD shot the shot and missed it, it was damn. KD
that's a good shot.
Okay, there's a difference between a KD mid-range and a Russ mid-range.
It is, but
I get what you're saying. I'm with you. I'm more with you on this because I think they fit together perfectly fine. I think Russ hit a lot of KD's flaws as a decision maker, playmaker, passer. And he got a lot of the blame for the things that if you made KD do the things that Russ was doing, he would have been blamed just as much. KD in the playoffs, I'm pretty sure when he wasn't with Russ, was turning the ball over like crazy, which is to be expected. He was the leader this year and he's 7 foot. But I think Russ just took a lot of the shots for the things that he was doing, things that KD wasn't particularly good at either. And he was better than them at KD. He was better at getting everyone involved, better as a playmaker. And I do think he would get KD the ball in the spots where he needed him. Now, sometimes would he go rogue and take an ill-advised shot here and there? Yeah, but I mean, I think that comes with being a superstar. Steph's gone away from plays because, hey, I'm a superstar. I earned this shot. I think Russ deserved to take some of the shots he took. Now, some of it are bad times, sure. But I think it's a bit overblown. I think they were more 1A, 1B than a 1-2, in my opinion. But
well, that's the issue. But what I'm saying, Mars, it's not. Mind you, I'm not saying take Russ out and just do nothing. Like I'm saying, if you replaced Russ, if you were to replace Russ with a more thinking point guard, a more floor general type point guard,
like Rondo.
Well, I think that's unfair. I wouldn't give him Rondo. Like that's not fair.
Chris Paul.
Mike Conley.
So somebody not that good, but somebody better.
You think they're better with Conley than with Russ?
Somebody that's not as good as Russ, but better than Russ. You know what I mean?
I know what you're saying. So you think the Thunder would have been better with Conley than Russ?
When James Harden was still around, maybe. But with the lack of shooting, not Mars. I'm with you as far as I think the lack of shooting was more of a hindrance than Russ. Honestly, I do believe that. Like, I don't think Russ is the problem. I think Russ was a problem because the team wasn't built for that. If you had a guy that maybe was a little bit of a better 3-point threat than Russ, I think they would have been able to fit in that time when the roster wasn't as great. So yeah, I think Mike Conley and KD would have been a better fit than Russ and KD. Although I do understand and I'm very well aware of the fact that Russell Westbrook was better than Mike Conley.
Which my next question to you, Ox, was instead of moving off of James Harden, because we saw what James Harden became, the distributor that he was, the pick and roll guy that he was, how good he was in the pick and roll. What if we instead hold on to James Harden and move off of Russ? And we got Russ.
I told Ron back in those days. I told Ron 2011, 2012, 2013, whatever. That's the point guard. He's not the point guard. James Harden is supposed to be the point guard. You know what I mean? He's supposed to be the one with the ball in his hands making the decisions, not Russell Westbrook. So if that means that if we had to choose one, I think James Harden probably would have been the better one to keep. But there was times when OKC back when they had, and this was earlier, but they had Derek Fisher, they had oh my God, what's his name? Light skin cat, played backup PG.
Oklahoma City?
What year?
Okay,
I know who you're talking about. This is before
not Ramon Sessions, but Ramon Sessions was around too.
Hold on, I got you. I'm finna.
I just want to know what year we're talking about.
This was like.
It wasn't DJ August.
This was before Rachel Jackson.
Daquan Cook.
Daquan Cook. They had it wasn't not. It was somebody else.
Not Eric Manor. It was Eric Manor.
Eric Manor. Thank you, Ron.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ron. They had a bunch of like, mid tier. You know what I'm saying? Mid tier.
Russ got a lot of backup point guards paid too.
Be that as maybe. I'm saying I think those even at those times you could have had some of those guys, some of the older point guards, some of the guys that we would consider mid. You know what I'm saying? Come in and run that point guard position and let Russ kind of do his 2-guard thing. You know what I'm saying? Like Russ, you don't got to have all this we look at it as a knock, but I think it's okay to take some responsibility off of these guys. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's no reason for me to keep putting all this responsibility on Russ. I'm not saying he's not good. I'm saying we could be better if maybe we don't have to have Russ making decisions in the fourth quarter.
I mean, the teams are always better when they don't need their superstar to have all the responsibility. I mean, the 2017 Warriors, KD was at his best because he didn't have to take all the responsibility of setting up the offense, scoring, making shots over 17 people, like all of those things. And it made Steph's life easier too because he wasn't responsible for, hey, we need a bucket. Now we need to go to Steph after he's running around 17 screens. Now he needs to be able to isolate and go create his own. Now we got KD for that. I mean, if you're able to share responsibility with good enough players, that's what makes a team at its best. It's very rare that a team has one player who's responsible for doing basically everything, and the team is very successful or they win. It's very rare. So I don't think that's a knock on Russ to say he needed someone to take a bit of pressure off. I think every superstar, every team needs players who can take pressure off other people. That's just a team.
It's the player choice way. Yeah, them boys don't get it started. The player choice way. Yeah, the player choice way. Come and switch lanes into the player choice way.